Hey guys, welcome back to Compounding Everything. For those of you that are new here, my name is Chris, and I've been taking a break away from YouTube for the last 10 months or so, at least from making full-time videos anyway. And the one question I've had over and over again throughout my break is, Chris, what's happening with the channel? Are you closing it down? And if not, when are you coming back? Well, I've wanted to make this video for a while explaining what my plans are and why I stopped making YouTube videos in the first place. And yes, I know some of you might not be overly interested in this update, and that's fine. I completely understand. Feel free to go back and watch some of my old videos about sort of fundamental investing, or feel free to sort of come back another time. This video just might not be for you. But for those people that have been waiting a while to know what's going on with this channel and if I am going to sort of shut it down or not, then I will try and answer that question in this video the best that I can. So just to cover the history of this channel very shortly, because it is a relatively short little history lesson here. Just over a year ago, I started here posting videos here on YouTube. I was absolutely blown away by the response in the first few months. The channel hit 10,000 subscribers and then went straight on to 14,000 subscribers, I think, in the first 4 months or so, which was beyond anything I'd imagine would happen on this channel. So part of my inspiration for this channel, which I've never actually spoken about before on here, was how Brandon from Aussie Wealth Creation, or now New Money, managed to take something that truthfully didn't really exist on this platform in Australia. There were fringe channels trying to do some things on here, but most of them were focusing on day trading or various other endeavors that weren't really investing as a whole. What Brandon did, I think, is nothing short of incredible. So when I started this channel, I used his channel as a gauge, thinking, well, if I could do half of what he did in my first year, I'd be happy. And I think from memory, it took just under a year for Brandon to hit his first 1,000 subscribers. And I thought to myself, well, hell, if I can get 1,000 subscribers in 12 months or 18 months, I'll be very happy. And then there was a second channel that I'd been watching before I started mine, that was called Investing with Tom. And Tom also had a similar start to Brandon. He started off making really solid content and grinded his way up to 1,000 subscribers, and then the compounding effect happened, and you know, all of a sudden, I'm pretty sure he's well over 25,000 subscribers now. And for those of you wondering, Brandon from New Money, or what used to be Aussie Wealth Creation, I think is just over 300,000 subscribers. So yeah, I mean, when I started my channel, I certainly didn't think that I was going to hit 10,000 subscribers in the first few months. It sort of blew my mind. However, the problem with such rapid growth, and this is going to sound a little bit, I guess, like first world problems from a YouTuber's perspective, but the problem with rapid growth like I had was that you feel like you're forced into sort of creating content that is click-friendly. You really start focusing on click-through rates, retention times, and sort of catchy thumbnails, and pumping out content that you know people are going to watch, hopefully at least more than 50 or 60% of the video, and give you a thumbs up and sort of enjoy what they're watching. And that really was starting to go against some of my core values as an investor. I'd really gotten caught up in focusing on day-to-day, you know, investing content, which isn't how I invest for the most part. It used to be a long time ago, but it's definitely not now. Which I guess leads me to why I named this channel Compounding Everything. And I've always found it interesting that I've never made a video about what the name stands for or what the purpose of the channel is, because I kind of think that that's the foundation of everything. But once I made that first video, things moved so quickly that it kind of, all my plans went to the side of what I wanted to do. A lot of people think that the name Compounding Everything stands for compounding interest. And yes, although that is true, it really means so much more. I personally like to approach life as a whole with a compounding mindset. I understand that the knowledge, assets, or anything else I acquire on a day-to-day basis will have a significant compounding effect over the long term. And that's what this channel was really supposed to be about. Helping people better understand that compounding mindset across the board, not just in, day trading or picking stocks that might go up by X amount tomorrow. And like I said a little earlier in the video, I essentially stopped posting full-time content around 10 months ago or so. And since that point, I've sat down to at least script or record a video 5 or 10 times. But Each of those times I asked myself, does the content of this video align with the core values of this channel, and does it add value to you guys as my audience? And unfortunately, the answer to that question was always no throughout that period, which led me to a lot of, I don't want to say soul searching, but it led me to a lot of internal sort of reflection to figure out, well, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And should I continue to make videos on this platform or make podcasts or anything like that? And throughout that period, I decided early on that yes, I did want to continue doing this. I just needed to establish parameters that I knew I could stick to that would help me provide the type of content that I thought was going to be beneficial to you guys. And I mean, not all of the content on YouTube is just about short-term gains. There are some fantastic channels, two of which I mentioned earlier in this video, that are incredible sources of wealth, and you can learn a lot from those channels. But a lot of the content on this platform, especially coming out of the US at the moment, isn't actually providing any tangible value to you. A lot of the videos sound great and, they get us excited and they're entertaining. But generally speaking, they won't make you a better compounder or investor. And yes, this is probably one of the most challenging balancing acts as a YouTuber in the finance space, is trying to toe that line between valuable content and appeasing to the YouTube overlords in regards to retention rates and click-throughs and things like that. And kind of just like the content I mentioned a second ago, coming out of the US, or at least some of it, isn't overly, beneficial to you as an investor. I think that some of the content that I was putting out was very similar to that. You could probably say that 80% of my videos reflected maybe 10% of what I'm actually doing on a day-to-day basis. And the reason is that only 5 or 10% of my portfolio is short-term swing trades. And I want to make it clear that isn't because I think that 5 or 10% is the best way to compound my portfolio. It's simply because I enjoy it. I'm happy to risk that 5 or 10% now on something that brings me a lot of happiness. However, when 5 or 10% of the actions I take in my day-to-day life are reflecting 80+% of the content on this channel, I started to realize that I wasn't controlling the context as hard as I tried to. I couldn't control how it was interpreted. I couldn't control how it was acted upon. And what influenced perhaps 5 or 10% of my life could have potentially been influencing 100% of yours. And that just isn't something that I could accept personally. And I want to make it clear, I really don't judge how others manage their portfolios. I mean, I used to be a day trader myself. I still like to do the occasional, day trade or swing trade. But I do have to accept the fact that most active portfolio managers are not going to beat the market. And I can't mass promote an idea that, theoretically speaking, is inferior. So yes, the conclusion I came to was that I don't want to be creating content that is based on its potential popularity. I want to make content based around putting both you and me in better positions as investors, compounders, and human beings. First and foremost, I'm a full-time investor, not a full-time YouTuber or podcaster, meaning the content I post should be driven by my passions and projects over what YouTube deems to be popular. And yes, that might mean I sacrifice the growth of this channel, which I guess 12 months ago would have been a no-go area, but now I'm perfectly comfortable with it. I would rather have the 14,800 of you that are subscribers to my channel getting something from this content and becoming a better compounder and investor as a whole than having 100,000 people here that are just looking for the next fix. And look, I don't want to get anybody offside here, because there is nothing wrong with searching for that next moon coin or looking for that next, 10 bagger in a short period of time. But that all comes down to risk management, and that's not something that's easily sort of portrayed through this platform. People are searching, watching quickly, and leaving, and I just don't want to encourage a strategy that could be misinterpreted on this channel. So from this point forward, the content provided on this channel is the content I would want my family members to watch if I wasn't around to help them. It's the content you'd let your kids watch if you couldn't guide them or be there to help them with their investments. It's going to be based around theories that are proven to be reliable over extended periods of time in creating and compounding in all forms of life. And to add a little bit more context to that and how I plan on achieving that, These days, I'm spending most of my time mixed between two different outlets. The first and the biggest consumer of my time right now is university. Last year, I decided I wanted to take this path more seriously in the financial guidance world, and although I could have gone down this path without qualifications, I was lucky enough to be in a position where I could take 4 years away from work and begin to complete a degree in journalism, accounting, financial planning, and finance. And yes, at this point, I have absolutely no intention of becoming a practicing financial planner or a practicing accountant. I just decided that this was the most practical path for me to hone my skills in this area. The ultimate goal has always and will always be to become a more competent investor long term. And no, for those of you that are wondering, I don't think going to university is necessary to learn all of these skills, but I do believe it allows me to set a bar that kind of helps me to measure my understanding of these subjects and compare them with real-world expectations. In a digital world where almost no credibility is required, I don't think it can hurt to try and add a little bit more credibility into the mix. Which then brings me to the future of compounding everything. And yes, you guys would have figured out by now that I do plan on continuing to post content on here. I mentioned a little earlier in the video that I would be focusing more on creating reliable content that I'd want my family members or children to watch and learn from. So over the next little while, I'll mostly be creating videos focusing on the absolute raw core values of investing and compounding. And it won't be all that I create, but it will be the majority of content I'm putting out. These types of videos can be used to build a base for this channel, so anybody that's come in here can understand the basics from day one. And after I believe we've gotten to a point where that sort of catalog of fundamental videos is complete or near completion, I will start getting into more specific content that will quite literally be about all things investing, finance, and business. Like I said, this channel is not just an investing channel. As much as I kind of made you guys believe it was over the last 12 months, I really am excited to get back to the drawing board and bring some of my external non-investing passions and ventures onto this channel. And hopefully that can create content that I feel genuinely provides value to you guys. Now, if you have made it all the way to the end of this video, I just ask that you do one favor for me. I'd like to know how many of my original subscribers are still here. So if you've been subscribing to this channel since the beginning, or at least since before I stopped making full-time videos, please leave a comment below and let me know when you subscribe to this channel. I'd love to know so I can just kind of get my bearings on how many of you are still here watching. Now, just to mention one last thing briefly, the Stocks on the Rocks podcast has also been inactive throughout this period, and that is going to remain inactive until I can figure out what I'm doing with that platform. Like I said, this channel is going to be, focused on all of these fundamental investing lessons that need to be learnt. I don't plan on going to the podcast and talking about swing trading, so I will figure out what I'm doing there, and I do have a bit of a plan in motion to try and sort of point that in the right direction, but I will update you guys about Stocks on the Rocks as soon as I sort of know what's going on and once I've got back into the swing of things here on YouTube. Now, of course, feel free to leave a comment with any subjects you'd like covered in the future below, especially, referencing things I might have spoken about in this video. And for those of you that want to sort of follow me when I'm away from YouTube, which has obviously been a lot lately, you can see me here on Twitter and here on Instagram. I'll also put those links below. Once again, guys, thank you for the support, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.